One characteristic of a well-designed program is that its parts are very modular, meaning that the components are independent of each other and still work on their own. That means we can't have global variables that are used in various methods. Instead, we use local variables, variables that are declared within methods and then passed around as necessary. As we've seen, method parameters let us pass data into a method. Return statements let us pass data back to the originating method. Let's take a look at some of the code from our video on parameters and see how we can improve it. Our rule of thumb is that all of our input and output should be in the main method, and any other methods we write should return values instead of printing them. In the rare case where we do want a method to output something, that should be clear in the name. That's what we have with the name print area of oval, but there's no real reason to output it there. The correction is really simple. First, we'll change the method return type from void to double, since that's what our calculation produces. When we do that, we immediately get an error. We've now said that this method is going to return a double, but the compiler can't find a return statement. We'll fix that by changing the print statement to a return statement. It's still returning what we were printing out before, but we don't want any output here anyway, so we're getting rid of that at the same time. And that clears up our error. The code now compiles and executes, but we've got a couple problems. The first is that our method name isn't really correct anymore. The method doesn't print anything, it just returns the area. Since this type of method is just a calculation and doesn't perform any other actions, we probably don't need a verb in the name, and we can just name it after what it calculates. The other problem is that our program now doesn't produce any output. Our programs still need output, of course. We just want that happening in main instead of our other methods. This method now returns a value, but we aren't doing anything with it, so it's just getting thrown away. But we can use that returned value as if it's a variable of that type, in this case, a double. We can output a double just by putting it in a print statement. In other words, all we have to do is put this whole method call inside a print statement. I've put some extra spaces in this line of code just to make it a little more clear visually. Running this code now outputs the result of that area calculation, and it does so while keeping all the output within the main method. As I mentioned, we can do anything with this method return that we would with any double. So I could put it in a variable to use later, or I can use it as an operand for one of my arithmetic operations. Designing our methods to return values rather than printing them increases the modularity and maintainability of your code, making those methods usable in a wide variety of situations.